Great. Welcome everyone to the June board meeting of the Kingfield Neighborhood Association. We have quorum, and our first order of business is our community forum, which it doesn't look like we have any non-board members here, but a reminder that anyone is welcome to say something during community forum. So I'll pause now and see if there's anyone that wants to speak.
I will, if no one else will. I just want to give a quick update because there's a lot of talk on Facebook about what's going on Grand Avenue. So just so people are aware, I have been emailing with the team, the Public Works team every week, sending them photo updates of what's going on in the avenue. And then toured the site and also met with the project manager on site. So I don't know that there's any consensus that what's going on there will be fixed, or any admitting from the city that anything is actually wrong. But I brought in an expert today, and I just was talking to people at the water event, and they're like, yeah, we have a mess on our hands.
For people not on Facebook, could you say what
could you
is
summarize?
going on?
Yeah, so someone had just said, what are we supposed to be doing about these boulevards? And some people are like, they're lovely, it's native. And other people are like, it's horrible. My kid's gonna bike off the sidewalk into a hole and crash. And there's been no communication to residents about how to take care of their boulevards. There's been no cleaning out the storm drain instruction. There's been no like, you're growing rye and Kentucky bluegrass and you should not touch it, or you should cut it, or it's your responsibility, or it's our responsibility. So my plan is to go to the weekly construction meeting tomorrow. I actually just got a name, not a phone number, but a name of the green infrastructure person who should be able to help us like figure out what the management plan is for this area. And I think once we know the management plan, we can help neighbors understand what they should be doing. I still think it's going to take some work on our part to really advocate for the city to come and put additional soils into the rain gardens, which I think is ultimately what has to happen. They're too deep and the soil's too crappy, and the care is not going to be consistent enough for them to grow what they are hoping that they're going to grow.
What are they even hoping they're going to grow?
Native plants, which all the people who work in this field say you don't start with a seed mix without like a really intense maintenance plan.
Mm-hmm.
So just a quick update that neighbors on Grand are confused. Public Works doesn't really know who's in charge. You know, they don't have the answers. To get people on the street don't have the answers. They had to pull up a bunch of curbs today. The construction guys are thinking that they're fixing problems of drainage.
Should we consider writing a letter to the city on behalf of our neighbors?
I think I can go to the meeting tomorrow, try to get more information, and then share that with the neighbors that we have through the group. And I think that we could encourage them to sort of come together and write a letter, or, you know, at this point, I would say people on Grand need to be going to the city constantly saying, how am I supposed to take care of this? How is this supposed to work? You know, it's super unclear. No one's been given a plan.
I have a big rusty pole sticking out of my boulevard that's been there for a year that they can't get out and don't get out. So it's just like a little, like it's just like a lot of little crap, let alone the trenches that they put in there. Yeah.
Right. So didn't want to take a ton of time. Just wanted to let you know that people are talking about it.
Thank you, Sarah. Are there any other brief items for community forum? Okay. Seeing and hearing none, I will move on to the approving the consent agenda. And the meeting minutes from our last board meeting, which was abruptly ended due to the big storm. And thank you, I think it was David S. who was taking notes. Thank you for clearly summarizing that and also adding in the e-vote that we took regarding the budget.
That was BJ.
It was BJ. Okay, thank you, BJ.
That was 2 times ago.
Okay,
But
got it.
I move to approve BJ's minutes of our meeting.
Thank you, David S. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, BJ. All in favor, if you could please give a thumbs up in your camera or something in the chat. Nay. Abstentions.
Scott Miller abstains.
Was there an abstention?
Yeah, can you guys hear Scott? If he turns his sound on, our machines echo each other. So.
Scott Miller abstains.
Got it, thank you. Okay, consent agenda approved. Next, we'll move on to the new executive committee election. So this is something that we do every month following our annual meeting, where we have seated new board members and we also elect a new executive committee on an annual basis. Before we do that, I want to say thank you and welcome to Travis and Scott and Regina as our new KFNA board members. So welcome to KFNA, and yeah, we're really glad that you're here and looking forward to connect. And please, if there are any questions that come up during the meeting, I should have prefaced the meeting with this, but please don't hesitate to jump in with any questions, concerns. We do frequently use the chat during these meetings too, so you can pop a question in there as well. Yeah, so with that, we need to elect a president, a vice president, a secretary, and a treasurer. And the way that we have done this in the past is just taking nominations from the floor, essentially, either self-nominations or other board members nominating another board member. So I think we can go ahead and, if there are any questions before we open up the floor to nominations, happy to take any questions.
If I can just add, when Sarah did the welcome email, there was a link to the bylaws, which describes all the positions. So people who are running for president need to understand that they are running every meeting that the board of directors that they're present at, and are also added as a signer for the organization. VP fills in when the president isn't there. The secretary needs to assure that the minutes are taken. They do not need to take them. If you are interested in running for secretary but don't want to take the minutes of the board meeting, then you need to come up with a schedule and a plan to assure that those minutes are taken and delivered to me so that they can be shared in the packet and shared on the website. And the treasurer also just has to assure that the books are kept and that they understand the reporting. We have a contract bookkeeper that we work with that actually is doing the finances and the check cutting.
Thank you, that's helpful. Any other questions, comments? Okay. I think the way that we did this last year, or the way that Chris led it last year, was just starting with president. So I'll just follow the lead that he kind of set for us last year. So I will take self-nominations or nominations from the floor for president.
I would like to nominate Katie for president. I know she has interest in that, and I feel like Katie, through the discussions that we've had, I think you do a great job. So I'd like to nominate you.
I'd like to second Katie for president.
Okay, a motion and a second. Katie, do you accept that nomination?
Yes.
Okay. Is there any discussion? Okay, then we can move it to a vote. All in favor? Thumbs up, say aye, put it in the chat. Keep it up for a second here so that BJ can track. Okay. Nay. Abstentions. Okay, congratulations, Katie. You are a new president. Thank you for stepping up for that role. Question, with Katie being the new president, do I continue to do the executive committee selection?
No, it flips over to Katie.
I think that Katie,
Okay,
or Katie could ask you to do it if she wants you to continue.
I can continue. Thank you, everyone. I had a quick little check-in with Josh about the bylaws before the meeting, so we were all clear. And so I will take any nominations for vice president, and I will kick them off by nominating BJ, who has expressed interest and who has been such a dedicated secretary of the board, and I'm excited about his excitement to step into a different role.
I'll second that.
Awesome. Any discussion?
BJ, do you accept?
I do accept as I'm typing the minutes.
Awesome. So we'll take a vote on BJ for vice president. Thumbs up in your video or in the chat. All in favor of BJ for VP. Awesome. Do we have any nominations for secretary?
I would like to nominate Josh for secretary. He has expressed interest, and I don't know if any of you know, but he is a documenter. So he regularly attends city meetings to document what is happening at them. I think he can handle the KFNA board meetings.
Do you accept, Josh?
I'll second.
Rad. Any discussion? All in favor of Josh, thumbs up. Awesome. And nominations for treasurer. Oh, I can't hear you, Josh. You look like you're unmuted, but oh, but now you're muted.
Okay, is it working now?
Yes.
I was muted on my end, apparently, on my headset. I think the cat batted at it or something. I nominate David S. for treasurer. He's expressed interest. He seems to have a vision for how to convey the financial documents to the board. I think you do a great job.
You win, David S.
Second.
Cool.
I
Discussion.
saw Alice's thumb, so yes, I'm in. 5%.
Great. Awesome. Let's vote for David S. If there's no discussion, thumbs up if you're in favor. Fantastic. Welcome, new executive committee. My understanding of what comes the rest of this agenda is more discussion based than from the previous executive committee. So I'm gonna, I think, probably turn it back to you, Sarah Atlar, to update us on the budget meeting, or someone else from the previous executive committee.
You can turn it back to me, but I put so the budget was not approved at the last meeting because it went into discussion by the executive committee, and some board members had asked for clarification. It has since been approved by e-vote by the previous board of directors. It was included in your packet. Can one of the past executive committee members remind me exactly what we wanted to run over in this? Besides presenting the budget, besides sharing it.
Maybe just a follow up to see if anyone still had questions or new members had
It
questions.
was more for the new members to kind of talk about the budget to make sure everyone's on the same page moving into this new board of 22-23.
Okay, so I'm putting in a link to the budget. Scott, I have to move my screen. I can't see. It's way too bright. So to look at this, just so everyone knows, you have to yell at me if you want me to stop talking, because I have now lost eye contact with anybody. So what is attached is the approved 2023 budget. Hopefully everyone was able to open that from the chat. Upon conversation with the previous board, we broke this into 3 different categories, sort of where each stream of funding falls into, what sort of work can be done with the funding coming in. You will see down on the totals are in column O. So we basically have an expected income of $100,000 roughly, and expected expenses of, I went past it. I don't have my expenses added, sorry, I apologize. But a negative balance of roughly $7,000. I would say that this budget is somewhat balanced because it is still relying on, or it's generous because it's still relying on payments from the Lindale Neighborhood Association, which comes in as income to the Kingfield Neighborhood Association and then goes back out in the form of salary to me. So Kingfield is paying the bill for executive director for both organizations in this current arrangement. I do want to point out, and this has been an ongoing point of discussion with the previous board, in column P, you'll see the estimates for the budget next year. And this is a pretty sure guess of money coming in. We're looking at an income probably closer to $33,000. And I haven't even juggled expenses yet because $33,000 is a smaller budget than we've ever dealt with before. So trying to figure out what the organization can do on a budget like that will be a challenge for the current board to figure out. Questions? More detail?
I'm thinking just about kind of a bigger picture budget overview for new board members. And maybe that's not right. Well, not right now because Regina isn't here with us, but I think that we've done that in the past. And I think that could be helpful. And either if we just do an onboarding session for new board members, or if we wanted to try to dedicate some time at a future board meeting for a big picture of where that money comes from and things like that. Maybe Travis, Scott, if you would find that helpful, others would find that helpful, give some sort of, or a thumbs down if maybe all returning board members wouldn't find that helpful.
I think what might be helpful is to just, because looking at a string of numbers often isn't what people feel comfortable doing. Maybe we just open it up and say, send me your financial questions and I'll try to answer them, you know, and we take some time at a meeting just to talk about it that way, you know. Because
Yeah,
I
I
think
mean-
I can say like money comes from this pot, it's gone down here and it's gone up here. But I think more the question is like, have we tried this to raise money? Or, you know, why is the city giving so little money compared to what they used to? You know, like I think it's the sort of the conversation that's almost more important right now than the numbers.
That, yeah, if that's the case, that's great for folks to send questions your way. Our budget will be a third of what it has been next year. And so that is just certainly to be a conversation we're going to need to be diving into. And I think figuring out the most like useful and effective way to have that will be something that we do together. So just definitely, this is not a topic that will go away.
No.
Other questions or like additional comments for right now? Seeing none, I think I'm guessing it continues to you, Sarah Lar, with the partnership grant update.
Yes, and I think that Sarah T had asked for this to be on the agenda, if I remember. So just looking back at the budget, there are two line items. One called Partnership Shared Resource Funds and one called Neighborhood Collaboration Funds. And from what I remember, these were the items, Sarah, that you were interested in having explain more. Is that correct?
I am trying to recall that. I thought that this was speaking about the meeting with Tangletown and LNA.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Okay,
That's what I thought too.
Conversation. I
okay.
saw
So that's okay.
included in the agenda or in the board packet. But I think that we had wanted to dedicate some time to just hear from you and from David R., who I think is also a part of that, about how that meeting went and kind of what next steps are. Where do we go from here?
Okay, so that makes more sense to me. It was worded in the agenda that came to me as partnership funds. So it's not partnership funds, it's collaboration funded. So the city of Minneapolis has designated two separate pots of funding that neighborhoods can apply for. The collaboration fund is a pot of money that neighborhoods can apply for together to look at new ways of working together. And so Tangletown had applied and Kingfield and Lindale had signed on to that grant. And the project is to investigate what a merged organization, and I'll just say merged organization could look like. So it's to look at different structural models, how that would affect fundraising and project work. And the group just met for the first time a couple of weeks ago, and the notes to that were in your packet. David Robbins right now is the sole representative from Kingfield on this group. The other neighborhoods each have 3 representatives. So I would open this up to 2 other people from Kingfield to make sure there's fair representation on this. We spent a chunk of time sort of getting to know each other and really trying to focus on the benefit of neighborhood associations so that everyone's sort of being focused on the work that the groups could be, should be, and hopefully are doing in their minds, and sort of the unique role that neighborhood associations play within a neighborhood. And then tasks were divided up to talk to other neighborhoods that have different shared models and try to figure out exactly what they are. David, do you want to add anything? It feels like a long time ago we had this meeting, so.
Yeah, no, it does feel like a while ago. Sorry about the background noise. I'll put a pitch in for the 2, I guess, Kingfield spots. Seems like a really cool group of people, and it's a huge project. I mean, just in terms of like the future of all 3 neighborhood organizations, right? And like having a discussion about what a neighborhood organization means to like a community, I think is what really attracts me to the idea most. But I think it's going to be an awesome time working with the group, and like whatever result we end up with, it's going to be a really cool ride. So 2 people come join me. I think it'll be fun. And I'm a nerd, but you know, whatever.
So right now, and I would guess into the future, this group will be meeting on Zoom. And it will probably meet monthly through the summer, and then it will get into more meetings. So we're sort of in the research gathering phase right now, both from other neighborhood associations, but also at the community level, trying to understand what values each different neighborhood has. And then hopefully seeing overlaps in those. I think it will be an interesting group. I think it's pushing people out of their comfort zones. I think it's really easy when resources are scarce to get really protectionist about what you have and not wanting to share that. And Kingfield spent 30 years, close to 30 years, building their identity, and people are really like tied to that. And so how, you know, what does it feel like when you say, oh, it's time to be something new, or what does that something new look like, and how, you know, I would say that for this to work, everybody's got to be all in, because it will, at the end, if anything is moving forward, it will be a marketing pitch about the opportunities that are available through working together are greater than the staying the course as individual organizations.
Did you say when the next meeting is?
June 22, which is a Wednesday.
Is it 21st?
The agenda, the notes say that it's the Wednesday, June 22nd at 7 p.m.
Damn.
Yes.
Thank you.
I have it in the 21st in my calendar.
It's the 22nd. Are you out?
No, I can actually, the 22nd. Oh no, yeah, I've got it in my calendar too. I just had it in the wrong place. I'm good. That works good.
Cool.
So you're looking for 2 more board members. We're missing 3 people tonight, but is anyone here interested in joining that group or interested in learning more? I want to think
I'd
about
be
it.
interested. Yeah.
Thank you, Travis.
I would be interested.
Thank you, Josh. Woohoo!
Sounds great. So the next meeting is, as we said, the 22nd at 7 p.m. on Zoom. I will send a link to Travis and Josh. I don't think it has to be more formal than that, does it? And then we can always ask the other people who aren't here this evening if they want to jump in as an alternate. It's probably good to have a tag team. And we'll make sure that the minutes from this group are in board packet so everyone's updated.
Awesome. Any other questions or discussion about the partnership with the other neighborhood orgs group?
Slightly related, I think maybe this agenda item got combined into two, because Sarah, LR, the other thing I was thinking of is, weren't there a couple of other grants that KFNA applied for with partner organizations?
Yep.
And are there any quick updates there on if those grants are received and
Yep.
going forward?
So that's the partnership fund. So that's been delayed. That was supposed to be figured out by the city a couple of weeks ago. The partnership funds are for other groups to get money from the city of Minneapolis, and they do that by stating a partnership with the neighborhood association. Kingfield submitted 2 of those. One was Save the Boards, which is a group that arose after the uprising to save the plywood murals that had been on storefronts. And we've had a long relationship with them. We've donated our boards to them. It was a natural partnership. And the other was with Sagrado de Corazon to do a bunch of outreach with their current parishioners about educational needs, and then look at starting an probably an English as a second language class at their site. I've heard through the grapevine, but I have not received a confirmation that Save the Boards will be funded and that Sagrado probably won't. Sorry, I have to let Brighton in.
I can confirm Save the Boards was approved at the Public Health and Safety Committee today. So that will come before the full council next Thursday.
So exciting and also super, super frustrating to continually be butting up against this with the city. Sagrado de Corazon is a 501c3. They're a 501c3 that falls under the Catholic diocese, but they are not a church, and the program that we proposed is not in any way religious based. It is a community organizing and educational program. And I've personally expressed my unhappiness with the city that it was not further, that it wasn't clarified that they wouldn't fund anything that came at all from a religious institution, and that if religious groups are doing community organizing and partnership work, that they should be considered for funding along with other partners. So
I'll just say I don't think the city can consider it because it would violate the First Amendment, almost certainly.
yeah, so Sagrado's working to get their own 501c3 status. So it's just hard to help them right now. You know, they're running a food shelf. They're providing housing. We tried 2 years ago to get rental assistance money to them in their 111 program. We couldn't find a way to do it. It's just really challenging.
Good to hear the updates. Any other grants we have been looking for updates on, or that, yeah, I don't know, Sarah T. Cool. Alrighty. The KFNA calendar.
Hold on, I'm trying to find the link. It's so bright right here.
No, it's the right there. Event list doc, I believe.
Which one?
One more down. I think that's it.
Thanks. Okay, event list document. Oh, I might have sent it only to BJ. BJ, can you share that? Thanks.
Just did.
BJ and I were chatting on the side about conflict of interest statements. So I just put together the quick event list for the year. This had been run past the previous board at the beginning of the year. And these are the events that they confirmed would be happening. This came also with a budget conversation about a reduction of staffing in the neighborhood and a need for stronger leadership for some of these events to take place. So we are in June. I do want to say that the Waterworks event is an add-on. It's grant funding that we received a couple of months ago in partnership with Lindale from the Great Streets program. And there'll be more pop-off events coming up along Nicollet Avenue this summer. Porch Fest is next Thursday. I am looking for people to take a territory, and depending on how many people offer to go hit up a few sites, ask for money directly and sell t-shirts, and ask for donations. That will determine how many sites each person will be going to next Thursday. So you can let me know if you're interested in doing that. You will see that July has only a board meeting on it. Traditionally, we do a garden tour in July. We have one neighbor of our 3-person team that's interested, but they will not do it alone. And so part of my ask to you all is if you want to see a summer garden tour, I either need to know that the board is going to support it and someone from the board is going to help co-organize it, or it's not going to happen. There's also August, I believe there's a polling event that I know Scott at least wanted to talk about. It's August, right?
Yeah.
And we had not made a commitment to National Night Out. And then we had a penciled in date for Stage Fest in September. So those are sort of the pending decisions for this year of activity. So if we want to start with Porch Fest, are there people who are planning to be out on the street who would be willing to go to 4, 5, or 6 sites and do the money ask? And I would say you'd probably have to do those in a couple rotations in the evening.
And is this, in a perfect world, is this get on stage and, there's some communication with the house that, hey, this person's going to be coming by at around this time?
I would say probably not at a certain time, but it would be a communication with the host. Most of our hosts are also bands. Only 6 of our host sites, I think, are independent, so it would be
Sure.
A board member has your territory. They'll be there selling t-shirts. They'll be there asking for money. If they ask to borrow your mic for a sec, please let them. Otherwise, you can just sort of work the back of the crowd.
I found as easy it is to yell free bird out when there's a lull in performing. That's an opportunity for you to just start yelling out. Thank the host, thank the band, and then go into the little spiel of what Porch Fest is, why you're there, that you're representing the neighborhood association, and then ask for the donation, or say you're selling souvenirs. And so it just happens kind of organically. Depends on the crowd, depends on the street level noise, but I found I've been able just to do it just standing in the back and being that guy that instead of yelling Freebird, yells, "Hey, welcome everybody. I'm with KFNA."
Cool. It's my first Porch Fest.
All right.
It's fun.
It's fun.
So there's 28 stages.
Okay.
So, and one of them is hosted by Brighton, who then needs to stick close to home. One of them is hosted by Sarah, who also needs to stick close to home. So in a perfect world, we would have 5 or 6 representatives visiting 4 or 5 stages, would take care of it. Oh, Travis is at a site too, which means you guys have to hit up your own sites.
Perfect.
I'm gonna try, but I can't guarantee it. I've got a big deadline the next day, and I hope I can be at Porch Fest, but knowing my level of work that I have, I can't guarantee it. So we'll
Okay.
see.
And then maybe as
I
well.
love Porch Fest when I'm gonna be out of town. I'm bummed to miss it, but
I'm down to help.
Yep, same.
Wait, who said that? David?
Katie
Dave?
and
Katie?
David S.
Dave S. Katie, cool. Todd has also offered, and Becky's great working a crowd, so I'll hit Becky
Great.
up too.
Are we trying to raise a certain amount on the day of?
I had a pre-fundraising campaign going. I hope you all saw it. I didn't see a ton of sharing of it, but it's been out on social media. It's been in the e-news. Keep the music going, is what it's called. We've raised about 2,000. I had a goal of 5,000
Before, like 5,000 in total.
in total.
I'm gonna take on the task of writing us a little blurb that I think would be helpful. I will want it for myself, and I will share it with others. That that can be updated with wherever we're at the day of. I just think it's motivating to actually, and just like transparent to actually name what we're trying to raise, the amount we're trying to raise.
So where is I'm on the Kingfield website and there isn't any information about a fundraiser.
It's through a GiveMN link. I have to go,
Okay.
hold on. I have to go to the site. Oh my God, it's so bright right here.
Yeah. And just for tracking, should we just send people to this particular link?
What do you mean?
Do we have a Venmo channel set up or?
We can do what's ever easiest. So we have Venmo, which is direct. I think for Venmo, everyone has to scan the little QR.
What's our Venmo name?
It's either KFNA _ Kingfield or Kingfield _ KFNA, and I can never remember.
We'll look
Otherwise,
that up right now.
we have that thing through Stripe that we've used before where you can text to a number. So you can text Porch Fest and a number pops up, or text a number to Porch Fest. And we've used that in other years. It might actually be written on our posters. Hold on, let me look at our Venmo.
Kingfield
I would think
_ KFNA.
All of these, or, it's Kingfield _ KFNA, right?
Part of the blurb that I will make us will also have all of the ways that people can donate so that we all have them. I assume we also can take cash.
Yep,
Great, cool.
we can take cash. So I can get you the donation methods and make sure that the text number is correct. And I haven't done that one since last year, so I just have to look at the link again.
Will there be a
labels on the signs with the Venmo or whatever information?
We could do that.
And could we arm every host with sidewalk chalk to put the Venmo information on sidewalk chalk, and then just encourage the hosts and the rotating board directors that are showing up to, give shouts out, occasionally that, hey, support this, please. Look at the sidewalk, look at the sign. That's the information.
And so I would say relying on site hosts is questionable, which is why I need you all to go to sites. So especially with musicians as hosts, they support KFNA. A lot of them have donated. They really appreciate this event, but they're also taking tips for themselves at the event. Some of them take tips for themselves and give the whole thing to KFNA also.
And I guess my last question just for or the next question is, as Porch Fest approaches, will it be on the website or on the on social media?
Yeah.
Because they go to kingfield.org and you'll see the Porch Fest.
I'm not finding it. It's been on our website and it's been on Facebook a ton. And
See
it's
it on our website. But
news. Pardon?
I don't see it on our website,
I'm
but
not seeing
maybe
it either, but
yeah, that's
I think it was on as an event, and we've had some event breaks.
If you go,
it's on the second page.
Kingfield second page, exactly.
Yep.
And is there going to be a map published this
Yep.
year, or okay? And when is that? A neighbor was asking when they would see the map.
They won't see the map until the day before.
Okay, perfect.
That's a strategic decision. So the map is mostly created, but bands often change in the last minute. And so we just usually don't share it till a day before. Signs will go up tomorrow because the signs say Thursday. So we'll be delivering those to houses tomorrow and putting them in their yard for next Thursday.
Can you get the labels on the signs before tomorrow?
I think a lot of people kept their signs, so I think I have to print labels and then go find their signs. So it'll be a 2-day process easily. Just so everyone knows, I have 8% battery left. No, I have 10%, just as a warning.
Any other questions about Porch Fest?
I don't know if you can hear me because my internet is not doing great. Is Butter hosting a site?
Yes.
Okay. I wonder, I'm literally 2 houses from Butter, and I wonder if there's like an opportunity to have t-shirt sales or something more publicly in that area.
To have t-shirt sales at Butter?
Yeah, or maybe like in the street, or I don't know. Maybe we can talk about that at the, are you going to the social,
Yeah.
Sarah?
Okay.
Maybe we can kind of like chat about that a little bit at the social and discuss just some options with that. Cause I am so close to Butter that I have like a really big backyard space for hosting. So I'm wondering if there's some opportunities.
Okay. Let's talk about that. So just because it's almost 8 o'clock and because I'm almost out of battery, can we talk about garden tour ? For July. Is anyone interested in co-hosting? August, the date and what people want to do for the election and National Night Out. And then I think the other months can hang.
August primary is the 9th.
And what is the question about that? Like if we're going to do a primary, like
Yep.
voting day thing?
Yep.
All right, is there any discussion on, because it's coming up prior to that, the garden tour? Is there interest in that, or I'm sensing no? Otherwise, I'm happy to just talk about polling party.
Go for it. Polling party.
All right, so it's August 9th. In 2020, we hosted a polling party, or we did not host a polling party in 2020. And it really wasn't that contested of a primary, although Ilhan Omar had a considerable challenger. And we had over 1,000 people come to the park to vote in person. And bear in mind that that was a time when we did not have a vaccine. There was no official polling party presence, although I was there at 41st Street as a crossing guard for pretty much the whole day. I think it's easy to have conversations in taking advantage of summer weather. So I am all for, let's do a polling party. Have a tent set up, at least one. And we can have those conversations on, hey, this is where our funding is going to go, so on and so forth. I know that it's it's a commitment of resources to be able to do that. It certainly takes a lot of people. If each of you directors are able to carve out 3 hours shift, that would be awesome. And I'm talking between 6 a.m. and really 8:30 p.m. So it's wide open. I'll definitely be on board for crossing guard, because that's really important to me to have that there. But I think that's something important to do. The advantage of block party is that's a week before. And so it's an opportunity to remind people, hey, we do have a primary next week, and maybe start to talk about, have you paid attention to sheriff? Have you paid attention to county attorney? So on and so forth. So, I mean, from a cost standpoint, I don't know what it's cost. I don't think we necessarily have to have Sarah there the whole time, but we definitely would need bodies.
So as my first act as president, I didn't know what this agenda item totally meant looking at the agenda, but I'd really love us to start to standardize a way that we talk about what is required for events in terms of budget and all the roles and the time before we discuss it. Because I think it's just sort of love a polling party, want everybody to know what's on the ballot for the primary. I think it's very hard to just discuss an event in the abstract. And I because you've had the experience before, Scott, I think it would be great if we could actually just have a bit of a write-up about what we do believe it will cost and the roles. I'm very down to draft, and we can work on this together, a template that we begin to use for just what is required for us to be clear about before we can make a decision about how we're going to participate in an event. So it's tangible before we're making that decision. I think for right now, we could do at least a little bit of straw poll, who is interested in National Night Out and who is interested in polling party. And maybe those are the people who could work on fleshing out more specifically what the details will be before we confirm those as a whole board. Maybe at the next meeting, maybe it's something we can have some email discussion about, since we might want to get started on them before August. So I would love to just get a little bit of straw poll response, but then also I guess propose that we bring a little more structure to how we look at what events require.
And I would love to hear what people's interest in is. I would say that we can't wait to decide till the July board meeting for either of these, because they really need to go in the July newsletter that comes out July 7th, so they need to be publicized before the next board meeting.
Great.
Sure.
So can we hear just folks general interest or not in either of these? And then maybe those can be folks to work on fleshing out those necessary details.
I have a question about the polling party. So in 2020, I definitely did a volunteer shift, and we were giving out hot chocolate and apple cider and snacks or something outside of MLK. So what is the difference between kind of being at a 10 volunteering for election night versus a polling party?
The polling party is just that.
That's a polling party.
That's the polling party, the tent that's set up, a hospitality tent.
Okay. Then we did do that in 2020.
We've only ever done
Just
one
a-
primary, and that was 2018 primary. And it was an awesome turnout, but also, Democratic governor and attorney general and sheriff were all on the ballot. And so that was very, very, there was a lot of interest in that election. But again, I want to remind you that 2020, we still had over 1,000 people show up. And I think if my concern with us losing the printed newsletter that is visible in people's mailboxes and shifting to something that might not ever make its way out of that folded newspaper. The opportunity to have conversations with members of the association, potentially over 1,000 of them, is a really, really great opportunity. But it's a long, long day. I can be there most of the
Okay,
day.
so but the polling party is 2 pop-up signs on either end of MLK, giving out like snacks and talking to people as they're voting. That's
Yes.
like the thing we did in 2020 is what you're proposing to do this year. Is that correct?
Yes.
And I would,
At least one
Okay.
time.
and I would say, right, so it's probably
I
at a
have a
minimum,
definite interest in-
Cool. I deciphered through your internet, Brighton, being interested in that. I am interested in how we might approach Neighbors Night Out. And I would be down to flesh out a bit more of a proposal around what that could look like. Anyone else who has interest in fleshing out more of how we might do the polling party on the day of the primary or Neighbors Night Out? Neighbors Night Out is the first week of August.
August 2nd.
Katie, I'm happy to collaborate with you on Neighbors Night Out.
Love it. So I'm going to propose, so that we can boogie over to Sarah T's also, that I'm wondering, Brighton and Scott, if you would be down to connect to sort of just in a simple way, write up a little bit more detail for us about what we think the ask would be to the board. Me and BJ will do that about Neighbors Night Out, and we'll circulate that via email for folks' thoughts so that we can make some decisions before the July meeting. I don't think this is a thing that I asked for like a motion on. Great. Cool. I will follow up about us all doing that. Anything else we needed to highlight from the calendar?
Mm-mm.
Rad. Well, with that, I think we adjourn the meeting and I invite safe travels. Sarah, do you want to throw your address in the chat so everybody has it real quick? And hope everybody can make it to Sarah's backyard. It will be lovely to meet you all in person in like 10 minutes.
It's taking me too long to type, so I'm just gonna say
Perfect.
Great.